Button, and we are live. So good evening and welcome to the 741 channel. Thanks for stopping by. Tonight we've got a special guest. We've got Radiowild here. This is Bob, and we're just going to do kind of a rag chew here and talk about radios and life or whatever comes up. Whatever you guys want to talk about, throw some stuff in the chat and we'll talk about it. One of the things I want to mention is if you're on this channel and you're interested in Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air, you'll want to head over to Kyle's channel, AA0Z. He's streaming right now. And make sure you catch that and you can watch us on reruns. But anyway, so we're here and we're just going to chat. Like I said, this is Radiowild if you guys aren't familiar with him.
Hi, boys and girls, it's us.
Yeah, there you go. That's his intro. I say Radiowild's a special guest because he is my oldest subscriber. I don't know how he found my channel, but back when I first started the channel in whatever year it was, 2009 maybe? I don't remember. He was like the first or second guy to subscribe, and he's been with me ever since, and I still haven't figured out why. But
I think you started shortly after I did. I started in 2010, and you were like within months after I started. So
okay.
I just started watching you because I saw you doing all kinds of cool stuff with Ham Ray, and I said, "Hey, this guy's pretty cool. I'm gonna watch this guy." And I banged the sub button, and I've been a subscriber ever since.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And same here. I always liked watching your radio videos. I've always been an old radio enthusiast and aficionado, and I wish I knew more about old radios than I do. But I've actually learned quite a bit from watching your channel and some of the video series you've put out over the years. You've done some really great, tech tips for old radios. You had the Transoceanic Restore project there, and
I've actually restored two of them.
Yeah,
two different models.
Yeah, so you've done quite a bit of stuff over the years on your channel too, especially with old radios. But you're also a car guy, so you'll throw those nice hot rod shows in there, and man, and that old radio flyer wagon you've got. I've always had a soft spot for wagons. So
yeah, well, here's how that came about. It's ever since I was a kid, I played with old cars, and I've had a lot of different things. And Mrs. RW and I, we go out to the local, the cruise nights and the burger joints and everything where folks bring out there. It's not just guys. There's even a few women that actually have cars, and we just kind of intermingle with each other and look at each other's rides. And for all the cars I've had, the car I had before the wagon was I had a 65 El Camino. And I redid the whole thing except for getting it painted. And the guy that bought it from me gave me my crazy number. So I didn't want to give it away. I didn't want to really sell it, but he gave me a significant amount of money for it. And sometimes, everything has a price. So yeah, I decided to let it go. And I said to Mrs. RW, I said, look, I really want to get another car. Let's get something different this time because we always see the same things. And you've probably seen it too, right? If you go to one of the places in Connecticut or whatever, look at all these old cars, and you slow down and you look, it's usually the same fare. There's Challengers and there's Camaros and there's Mustangs, and it's oh my.
Yeah, yeah. There's only so many Camaros you can look at after a while.
I said to my wife, I said, look, we do swap meets, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Why don't we get a wagon this time? And she said, yeah, okay. But make sure it has an automatic because my wife is not very good at driving the stick. So okay. So I was hunting. I was looking for a Chevy wagon initially because I'm really a Chevy guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking, and everything I'm looking is rotted out. And, and I could do that stuff when I was 17. I didn't want to do it now. I'm not, at this point in time, I'm not into any heavy lifting or lots of work. I got this car. It was literally 10 minutes from me. It was on eBay. A guy had relisted it twice, I think maybe 3 times. Never got his reserve. So I sent him an email. I typed it up. Hey, look, I live in Denellen. Can I come up here? He lives up on I have a mountain about a mile away from me. Yeah. He lives up in the mountain in a town called Warren. So I went up there, and he's a super nice guy. I still know him to this day. He's a real good guy. He's a retired cop. And he's actually putting together a 66 Pontiac Le Mans wagon right now.
Ooh,
that's really cool.
That's cool.
He's got a 389 GTO motor and go on and on. Anyway, so I looked at this wagon. And it was Buick. And I'm like, well, I had a Buick before. Okay, I had a Riviera, bow-tail Riviera a long time ago.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste the whole thing talking about cars. But anyway, I'm looking at this thing, and I see there's little bits of rust, and there's paint chips. But there was two things that blew me away. One was the glass over the cargo area, like a Vista Cruiser.
Oh, yeah.
Buick made these things, and they were called sport wagons. They just basically were a Vista Cruiser with a Buick name tag. Matter of fact, a lot of them used the same parts. They used the same glass. They used some of the same transmissions, and it's basically an A-body GM car from that era that's elongated 8 inches.
Okay.
It's a little bit longer wheelbase. So if you took the back 2 doors off my wagon and tried to put it on a 4-door Skylark, they won't fit. Matter of fact, one of the early episodes of what was that show with Finnegan and Roadkill.
Oh yeah, Roadkill.
Issues work. Roadkill. They bought a wagon. They tried to change the doors. I started laughing the minute I said, "It ain't gonna fit." And they bought extra doors and it didn't fit the wagon. I started laughing because I knew it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
But anyway, the car had 49,000 miles on it, but it sat for a long time. The car was new in Missouri and sat, so it still needed. Now this guy paid the mechanic to do some things. He did about half the things that needed to be done, but it still needed more. I did that. I took the top of the motor apart. I regasketed everything. I put springs in the back of it because the car had a load leveling system that was air operated.
Oh yeah.
There's still pump in the car, but all the tubing and everything is gone. And I remember I saw it when I first got excited. I bring the car home, take my air compressor, I pump it in there. I said, "Oh, finally, I'm gonna get the back up on the car." I went to pump it, and I could hear the air going through it.
Yeah.
Nobody was home. I'm like, got the creeper under the car, and basically there was like a little pneumatic manifold there, but all the tubing and everything was gone. So I bought springs and got the car up in the air. Certain things like it has 4-way flashers didn't work. So there's a lot of little meddling things. I rebuilt the carburetor. Now everything on the car works.
Nice.
And we've had it for it'll be 5.5 years, and now it's got 57,000 miles on it. We drive it all over the place. The only bad thing about the car is it gets 11 miles to the gallon on premium. So the minute I turn the key, you can hear a dinosaur fall over in the background.
Yeah. There you go.
This is RW named it the Radio Flyer because we go to radio events with it. A couple years ago, I went to the Sussex Hamfest. I don't know if you've ever gone to that Hamfest, Rob.
No, but a couple of my buddies have gone there, and they were trying to get me to go, but I've just got to break away and go when we can again.
I took my wagon there in 2019, and I put up like one of these 8x8 canopies and a table, and I put all my stuff out there, and people were flocking. They weren't flocking because I had neat stuff. They were flocking to go look at the car.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Stuff, but it was a great magnet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we have a lot of fun with the car, and it's just a good time.
Yeah, that's cool though, because it ties in. It's perfect, Radio Flyer with your other hobby, which is, the old radios and stuff. Before we talk about that, let me check the chat, see who's in there tonight. Let's see, Clark Cohey is in there. How you doing? Doug Style is in there. Hello. Dave Bonham is in there. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see. Clark wants to know if it's a Woody. No, it's not. But
you could actually get that car with Lee. I call it Lee press-on wood. It's that final
could you?
Stuff that they would stick to the side of the car and maybe put a little piece of wood trim around it, but mine doesn't have that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it's a cool car. I like it a lot. I've always had a soft spot for wagons.
Actually, if you could give me a share screen real quick, I could probably put it up. I could get the picture up and show it to you.
Yeah. Do you have permission to do? I always forget how to. Whoops, I muted you. I don't know. You should be able to share it. No.
No, I usually get the thing. It says the host disabled screen sharing. All right, that's all right.
Okay. I'm fumbling around here. Oh, right here.
Around here, we could.
Here you go. Now you can do it.
I can? Okay.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Okay. All right. So
let's see. Shutter Lab is in here too.
Not that picture. If I could find it.
But yeah, that's a cool car, and I know you've had a lot of cars over the years. I haven't had that many cool cars. I was a Mopar guy for a long time when I was younger. I had a couple of old Mopars for a while, but I've since converted over. I'm now my toy is the Chevy Tahoe, but that's falling apart now. So
But that's a nice truck.
yeah, but it's and I got a really good deal on it. But Connecticut, salt on the roads. It lives outside. It's getting rusty, and it had high miles on it. So we'll see. I may replace it here in another year or so.
I can't. I'm struggling with this, trying to get this picture up here. All right, never mind.
Okay. Well, next time we'll do a whole show.
I'll find it though. I just
yeah.
I struggle with this too. I do this with other clubs, and sometimes I get it to work, sometimes I can't.
That's okay.
So I should have planned ahead for this a little bit. I should have planned better.
That's all right. We'll do a whole show on cars next time.
It's all right.
We'll share our car stories, but
that Suburban's or the Tahoe's a nice car.
yeah, it's like I said, I like it. I was looking for a truck. I had that old Dodge truck for a long time, and it really rotted out. And I wanted a truck. I'm looking around, and the price of the trucks was just astronomical, even used trucks. So then I happened upon this Tahoe, and it was half the price of what they wanted for a truck of the same condition and year and everything. So I said, well, I have a trailer, so I can use the trailer if I need to haul anything big. But it worked out great because now, if anybody wants to go somewhere, the family, we put it in the back seats and, we go and it's been really great. I'd like to get a new one, but boy.
Don't you have the Vortec motor in that too?
Yeah, 5.3.
Yeah.
The thing runs like
motor.
a sewing machine.
You get over 200,000 miles on them things.
Yeah, it's got 230,000 on it. And it runs like a top. It's just getting rusty underneath, I had to do all the brake lines last year. I rebuilt the whole brake system on it.
I remember seeing your video on that.
Yeah, that took, and of course, working 50, 55 hours a week doesn't help,
Yes.
but it took me a month or so to do that. Working on it an hour here, an hour there, kind of a thing.
I went through the same thing when I was putting my 65 El Camino together. I actually had, the shop's no longer there. It caught on, someone burned it down, or it burned itself down, or something. But I was at work. My last job was I was in medical, and I'm working like 60 hours a week. So I would get out of work after working 8, 9, 10 plus hours. Then I'd go over to the shop for an hour or two and play with the El Camino, and then this guy that was helping me out with it, and then come home and back and forth. And after about 3 months of that, I finally got it all together, and I was able to drive it home. And I put a Vortec motor in the car.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I bought a, and this is a great deal. So if anybody's listening to me out here, I bought a motor from Blueprint Engines, and they're a company in Nebraska. I think I brought it through either Jegs or Summit. I don't recall off the top of my head. I think it might have been Summit Racing. It was a 350 that was punched out 40 over. It's a 355. They took the two main bearings and made it a 4-bearing crank.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And the Vortec, one thing that's cool about the Vortec engine is to keep this in mind. If you don't want to spend the extra money and do the LS route, which a lot of people seem to do, but it can be pricey. You can get a Vortec and still have like 350, 400 horsepower.
Oh, wow.
For the street. And with the Vortec motor, they have better clearances, and you get roller rockers.
Oh,
and
there you go.
That means a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what's in Rob's Chevy, and that's why I had my El Camino. And they're great motors. They really are. Yeah,
it's a good, dependable engine. I almost wish I lived in Arizona or someplace like that where rust doesn't exist,
Yeah, but, we get that here in Jersey too.
Yeah,
a lot of salt and sand on the road, and I have a power washer, and I know what you drive, and you know what I drive, and after if we get some salt or we get some bad storms, I'm not shy. I'll go out and take my power washer and go underneath the two Toyotas we have and clean them off so rust.
Yeah. Well, that's those Toyotas are good cars, and that's what we have for our daily drivers, and they live in the garage, and you don't have to do anything to them. You just drive them, But they're just not the same as the old Chevys, and I've always had a soft spot for Oldsmobiles myself. I almost bought a Cutlass once.
Oldsmobiles are cool.
I almost bought a Cutlass once. Tell you the story on that. I don't know. I was in my 20s maybe, and I had a couple of extra bucks, and I wanted a car. I wanted a project car, and so I was driving along in a couple towns over, and there was one. It was a purple Cutlass I don't know if it was a 442, but it was a 68, 69, somewhere in that vintage convertible, and it was sitting on the guy's lawn. It looked really good. I stopped and looked at it, and price was right, So I'm going to go sleep on it and see. And if it's, maybe I'll drive back in the morning and see if he's still there, So I got up that morning and I went, at the time I had a girlfriend and she lived right down the road. So I stopped at her house. I said, hey, you want to take a ride? And her father was there, and I was talking to him. I mentioned to him what I was going to do, and he says, oh, wait a minute. No, you don't want that car. I says, why is that? He says, well, I'm on the fire department, right? I said, yeah, I know you're on the fire department. Well, I heard it over the scanner last night. Somebody went off the road last night and hit that car. It was parked in the front yard, and some drunk guy went off and T-boned it, So I said, well, I guess I'm not getting a Cutlass. Yeah, it was a beautiful car. The guy who owned it had put a new top on it and everything. It didn't need any body work that I know of, so I was ready to do it. But
that's a good-looking car too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Now I've got the cars. They're not anything to write home about, but we tinker with them. I got the old Pontiac Vibe. That's my wife's car. She won't let me sell it. When we got her Camry, I was going to I actually did. I put it out front, put a sign on it, for sale. And she looks out, what are you doing? I said, we said you were going to sell it. No, you're not selling my car. Okay. You're the boss. So, it's paid off, whatever. So we use it. We haul our kayaks with it because it's nice and low. It's easier to put the kayaks on top of that than the Tahoe. And it's great on gas. So, we can take off and go wherever we want with it. Good car. But let's see, who's in the chat? I haven't looked. Let's see. Not too much going on, I guess. Back in the 70s. Okay, Doug Stiles says, back in the 70s, my first car was a 4-year-old Chevy Vega. I can tell you a story about a Vega, too. Let's see. Clark Cohey, East Coast. Body falls off before engine goes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The Vega. My dad had a Vega when I was very small. It was a company car back when companies used to still give you cars. This company wanted my dad to work there, and it was a little bit far away. So they said, well, we'll give you a car to drive back and forth to work. So they gave him cars. And when he first started there, he was getting Volkswagens, believe it or not. The first was a Beetle, and then they bumped him up to a squareback, whatever they call them, the little station wagons.
Yes, Cambacks.
Cambacks. And then after that, they gave him a Chevy Vega, and he thought he was doing, all right with that car. He liked it. Well, once again, he was driving to work one day. Some drunk driver pulled out in front of him and totaled it. Yeah, but he loved that car for whatever reason. Of course, it wasn't really his, but he still loved it.
The Vegas were fun as long as you got, well, here's the thing. If you got an early one, I forgot when they started to sleeve the 4 cylinders, but
oh yeah,
the old aluminum motors I think were good for about 30,000 miles if you were lucky, and then they were done.
Oh wow.
One of my college buddies had an older brother, and he had picked up like uber cheap, like a 71 or 72 Vega. Bought a kit from some company that used to, I don't know if they still make them or not. I don't even remember the name of the company. But he had a really rusted out 68 Chevy Malibu, and it was a 307 glide car. Well, he took the 307 out, changed the flywheel over to a stick flywheel, and put in a 4-speed. And that thing with it, now 307 was not the greatest Chevy engine ever out there.
Yeah.
But he took the 2-barrel off it, put a 4-barrel intake on the thing, and that car was a rocket ship because it didn't weigh nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was really funny. I never got to drive. I really wanted to drive, but I rode in it, And he could actually do, like, he only needed a clutch for first gear. He could actually just, with the synchros, find his way into second, third, and fourth without even hitting the clutch.
Nice.
It's an amazing car.
Yeah. Yeah, they were cool. They were cool. They had their issues. All the cars did back then,
you know why I drive Toyotas is because I had a job, and this is probably why I started working there in '87. I worked as basically a tech rep for a Japanese machine tool company that manufactured injection molding machines and plastics and things like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was a tech rep for almost 12 years, and I used to get a company car. That was part of the thing. So we had a variety of different cars. We had a couple Ford Aerostars, and they were garbage. They all went through transmissions like nobody's business. Yeah. And we had an 89 and a 90 Toyota Camry wagon.
Okay.
Now, I didn't have that car. I had a Subaru, and that thing was just horrible. It was an early 87 GL wagon.
Oh, yeah.
It had two timing belts. That car was interesting. It had two timing belts. If one timing belt broke, car wouldn't run. If the other timing belt broke, I could drive it on two cylinders. And I had that happen more than once. But those Camrys went 150,000 miles, and the guys that drove them just beat them to splitters and sawdust. When we got rid of them, they both ran perfect. They were fine. I wanted to buy one of them, and they sold them both before I even before I even blinked my eye, because when they did that, I was already in Japan. I went to Japan in what was it, 91? Yeah, I was in 91. I went to Japan for a month. So I thought with that kind of reliability and everything, if my father were alive today, my father passed in 92, but if he was here today and went out my driveway and saw those two Toyotas, I don't know, he'd probably get in an accident and start chasing me around the house with it, because he was one of these die-hard, buy American, kind of guys, But he doesn't understand. I mean, I know you work in a manufacturing environment, and I spent half my career in manufacturing environments. I get it, And now they got, forget about 5S and Kaizen and Six Sigma. Now there's planned obsolescence, so we're going to build stuff that's going to deliberately fail.
Yeah, right. I know it.
Crazy.
I know it. But my dad would be the same. Well, my dad was still alive when he saw me buy my first Japanese car. I bought an Acura Integra. It was
they were nice.
It was down the road. It had sat, and I saw it. It sat in the yard for like a year, and then they put it out for sale. And I needed a car because the truck I only had a truck at the time. That was it. And I was saving up to buy a new truck, but I didn't have the money. But I had a couple of bucks. So I said, well, I'm going to buy this little Acura just to tide me over for a year until I can afford the new truck that I want, I'll tell you, that was a great little car. I should have never got rid of it, but, I fixed it up a little bit. It had a little bit of rust and stuff starting, but it ran great. And I drove it, just like I said, I drove for a year or two. I don't remember. And then I bought the truck, and I sold the car to a friend of mine, and he drove it for another few years after that. But that was a great car. And then I had my wife and I bought a Toyota Celica. It was a few years old. We needed a car, and we ended up getting that car. And boy, what a great little car that was. And my dad would get in that car, and he'd kind of chuckle about it. My dad was a diehard Chevy guy. He owned Chevys all his life for the most part, with a few exceptions. But, he saw that car. He's, what are you doing? He didn't like the fact that I turned out a Mopar guy either when I was younger. So he always used to give me a hard time about the Dodges. But when I got the Celica, he didn't want to get in it at first, but then he got in it, and he's like, okay. He says, I get it. He says, I see why you wanted this car. It just runs good. I would still have that car today if I could fit a car seat in it. I had to sell it when my son was born. We couldn't fit a car seat in the back. So I got rid of that, and I got, like you said, I ended up getting a Subaru. But boy, what a mistake that was. I got rid of that car, and I got my Toyota.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to go back and buy a new Chevy now. But even these cars are just crazy expensive. a year and a half ago. I had an '07 Toyota Highlander, and I bought it brand new, and I took care of it. And a year and a half ago, I was probably 5-6 blocks away from my house. I was going right through the main intersection in town, and a guy blew through a red light and T-boned me. Totaled my truck.
Oh, yeah.
It only had 91,000 miles on it.
Yeah, and that's nothing for...
On a Toyota, that's braking period, man. It's nothing. So I ended up buying, my wife had a Venza.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
But she says that sometimes when you're going through, like where she commuted to work, she had to go through like city kind of traffic. So it was kind of big to, get around and try to park and this, that, and the other thing. So she said, all right. She says, here, let's do this. You take over, you drive the Venza and give me a Camry. So we went out and bought a 3-year-old end of lease Camry.
Oh, there you go.
That's what my wife's driving now.
Yeah.
And she had a Camry before. We had a 2003 Camry that we drove for quite a long time. And that's when she got the Venza. So I love these cars. You just get in there, turn the key, you're done.
Yep.
I don't mind working on my station wagon. That's a toy.
Yeah.
But the Toyotas, I mean, I can always say I can get in there and start the key up, and 999 times out of 1,000, it's going to run.
Yeah, well,
that's to worry about stupid things.
That's what you want. Yeah, when I worked for 21 years, I worked at a company that was 3 miles away, 4 miles away. If I had to walk, I could have. Actually, when I used to live at my old house, I was a mile away, and I used to walk to work sometimes. So I didn't really need a fancy car, but I took a job on the other side of the state, 50-mile drive each way. And that's when I knew, well, I got to get something reliable, and that's why I got the Corolla, because that'll keep going, through the nuclear blast and then some. So I knew I was always going to get to work with that. Now I don't luckily drive that. I took another job since then, so I don't drive that commute anymore. But yeah, that's when I took that job, I knew I was going to have to get a reliable car, and it was going to be a Toyota. But
yes, it's come a long way. Even Toyota's got their own quality methods for manufacturing and continuous improvement and all that. So
yeah, a lot of people tried to copy that.
For the most part, all the Japanese companies kind of picked our brains in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and okay, well, this is what we're not going to do, and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And they got it right. It's hilarious. My brother-in-law used to say, I'm not buying you look at my Toyota, I'm not buying a Toyota. I said, look, here's the thing. And he was always working on his cars. So, the brakes, I got to do the brakes on this. And then this broke, and I got to change this sensor. And look, buy one of these, all right? What's more important to you? And he's got a couple kids of his own. Do you want to spend time with your children, or do you want to keep working on your cars?
Yeah, that's where it
Think
comes
about
down
it that way. It's all the time management thing.
But a lot of them now, but a lot of the Toyotas now are made here anyway. So
they're all made in Kentucky.
Yeah, right. So you got to consider that too. Yeah, both of my Toyotas were made here. And the Vibe too. The Vibe was made in California.
I've done on the web is that I've seen that. The funny thing is that there are more American parts of Japanese cars than Japanese parts of American cars.
Yeah, there are.
Go figure.
Let me check the chat here. So we got. Okay, Clark said his first car was a '70 Pontiac Le Mans convertible. That's a nice car.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice car.
Let's see. Fans, alarms, lighting, etc. He says he may have the 741 virus. I hope not. I certainly hope not.
My neighbor had a '70 Le Mans convertible. It was gold with a beige roof and matching interior. And man, that was a really nice car.
I bet.
They bought that brand new.
Let's see. Yeah, people are reminding us that we were going to talk about radios. So
yeah, I think. Well, let's see. We're already a half hour into this thing. We haven't mentioned anything about radios.
No, we haven't. Sorry, guys. We got off track. I knew this would happen, but that's all right. That's cool. That's why we're chatting. And we'll do more of these anyway. So to get back onto radio restoration, let's talk a little bit about your kind of radio restoration. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you do it, how you got into it, what types of radios you like to work on, and that kind of thing.
I did this as a kid. I was fortunate enough that where I went to high school here in New Jersey, they actually had a electronics program in my high school, and I took it. I also took auto shop, so I was one of the few guys that did both. But I went to a 2-year junior college. I got my associate's degree in electronics. Ironically, I never used my degree until later on in life. I'm not even going to go there. But the thing is that, here we are talking for a half hour about cars. So I kind of got away from fixing TV sets and old radios and things like that. And I'm trying to find a way to get 300 horsepower out of a 12-watt Chevy. And it just went on from there. I even did some light drag racing in the 80s. In 1979, I bought a 67 Chevelle SS 396 with 30,000 miles on it for $1,300.
Wow.
My car now is 30, 35 all day long.
Yeah.
But that was then and this is now, and I don't do that anymore. It's real expensive. I threw a lot of money at it. I met Mrs. RW and we get along great. We're friends and we do a lot of things together. But then, you think when life goes and changes. So I sold off a lot of car stuff, took a pile of money, bought this house, fixed it up, spent a lot of time on it, and still managed to get into the car thing a little bit. And then back in 1997, I joined the New Jersey Antique Radio Club.
Okay.
And it was cool. It was kind of like I just was in a vacuum for 20 years. And all of a sudden now I'm around all these guys. And I was trying to be a sponge and talk to the old timers, guys that worked in radio, TV repair and in the broadcast industry and different facets of radio and try to learn as much as I can because I just didn't have the financial or the time resources to play with cars as much as I used to.
So is that when you started your radio collection, was around that time, or did you have radios before that?
I sort of had some radios, but then I started to seriously start collecting then.
Okay.
And I've been collecting and flipping and buying and selling and repairing ever since. So how did the channel get started? Well, the channel got started, and I explained to him a radio story, but basically I was trying to sell a radio to a fellow that I knew, but he was like a little over an hour from me. He couldn't get here. He had worked long hours, and I get it. So I said, well, look, here's what I'll do. I'll just sign up on YouTube, get a channel going. I'll take pictures of the radio, and I'll go through all the bands so you can see it, pick up stations or whatever. If you got any more questions, let me know. And he ended up buying the radio from me a month later. And that's how my channel got started. Then I said, this is kind of fun. So I started doing little things, and then all of a sudden it just kind of flipped to radios.
Yep.
And now, I'm getting older. Like Eric said, I'm getting older. It's like, what did I do with that? I had a thing here. When you and Eric had the live stream.
Yeah.
Getting old. Well, here it is, you're old when the fat lady sings. There you go. I'm getting old.
There you go.
So I know that I'm not, we're all finite. We're not going to be here forever. And I'm trying to get folks that are new to the hobby, whether they're very young or even very old and they're retired and they want to do something with their time or do something with their hands. I'll work with you and show you how to do it. I also try to get people that are, believe me, there's always people out there that are smarter than me, smarter than you.
Oh, yeah.
And what I try to do is I try to leave that little window of opportunity so that the people that are really knowledgeable or maybe have done this 50 years ago can come in and comment and say, well, maybe that's not such a good idea, RW, or, and then make their own comments or make their own analyzations about what I'm talking about. So I want to be all inclusive is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But my focus is trying to get newbies into the hobby so they can enjoy this. And the best part is this stuff is still plentiful and it's cheap. It's not free, but it's cheap. So you can do this on a budget and put together a nice collection.
So I don't know if you found. I don't know if you found this too, but and again, like you said, there's a lot of people out there smarter than me, but there's a few things out there that I know how to do. And I've always found that when I show somebody how to do something, I learn something too. And that's one of the reasons I like to some of the videos that I do, because it helps me reinforce the things that I'm learning, or I figure something out new because I have to figure out how to explain it too. And it just solidifies it more in my own mind, when it comes to that. But like in terms of the old radio repair and stuff that you're doing, so like now you focus mostly on tube radios, right? Or do you ever do solid state stuff?
I do solid state stuff from time to time, but there's a lot of guys out there doing that kind of stuff too. And solid state is actually pretty simple. I mean, usually you can go and get. I got a couple transistors here. I'll show you. This is one of my favorite transistor radios, and I've had this one for quite a long time. And I've talked about this on my channel. This is a Channel Master 6515 Super Fringe. They call it a Super Fringe.
Yep, I remember.
They come in two colors. They're in black and in red. This is a black one. And these guys are little DX machines. All right. And I have proof of that because back in, I think it was 2006, we have a DX contest in the club every year. And with this radio, I won this plaque.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So tell me how the contest works. How does the DX contest work?
So, well, all right. So basically, let me finish this real quick, and I'll explain how the contest goes. So I'm just trying to prove how good this radio is. Oh, yeah, right. It's a Japanese Sanyo. It's made by Sanyo, but I'll tell you what, this has an RF stage in it. And, you go through the winter months, and you can pick up a lot of stations with this radio.
I bet.
And it's real easy. If you want a null station or whatever, you just do a little, you can put this on a tray, little rotary tray, or you can twist it around and do your nulling and stuff with stations that way. And most of the time, it's just a matter of changing bad electrolytics in here. I mean, I've had a number of Channel Master radios, and I've never really ever had to change a transistor or a bad coil or anything like that in there. So there you go. Now, how the contest works is that we have a couple guys that kind of oversee and run, and I have this paper here. I knew this was going to happen, so I brought this paper. And this is from the New Jersey Club as well. This is an AM DX map, so to speak. And what it does is it shows the frequencies, the call symbol of the station, how many miles it is from a central New Jersey area, and we do our logging with this. Now it's all done on trust. Okay. And as long as you're honest with yourself and everything, you can do this.
Yeah.
I've only won this once, so these guys are tough. So, and we have stations like, we go anywhere from, you got the stations that are local as Philadelphia, New York, and then you can go to, we can get Chicago area stations. You probably can too. But some of the more challenging ones are WBAP, Dallas, Texas. That's 820. But that's also, we have an 820 in New York. So you have to do a little of this and null the station out to pick that up. But we've got some what I call home run stations that are kind of far away. CMKA in San Germain, Cuba, which is 1,347 miles from here. It's AM 600. There's, and it just goes down the list. So as long as you don't cheat and you're honest with yourself, I think you can get up a pretty good amount of stations. And then what happens is after you get all your stuff logged in, you take your 10 best stations and then you add up the miles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's how they all break it down. That's kind of like how you would get into a tiebreaker situation.
Now, what are the rules on the type of radio that you can use?
Well, they have different categories.
Okay.
Like they have stuff that goes back to, like, you can have a crystal set. Radio in its heyday, in its real early days when it was just getting started in the 20s, a lot of people didn't have money. So there was a lot of, you would go to a place I tried to prepare for this. I knew you were going to do this to me. You would get, now this company, I'm going to show you this. This is a very, very old book. This is from the 30s, but they had stuff older than this. This is the Dale Electronic Parts Company, and they're still around today, believe it or not. And you can go in here and order up parts, tubes, whatever you needed from this catalog, and literally build your own radio. And it can have one tube, like you can have like a one tube Crosley pup radio, it's called. Crosley made lots of those.
Yep.
You could have a 2-tube radio, which try and remember. RCA made a radio with 2 tubes that you could tune around in and do some stuff like that. So there's different categories. You have categories for boat anchors, stuff like show you my Hammerlin HQ 129.
Oh, there you go. Now that's nice.
So, yeah, I used to have a lot more heavy radios, but as I'm getting older, I'm finding it's not so much fun moving them around. So, my dad had an SP 600, and I don't know what happened to that, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to have to pick that up now. That's a beast.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Or picking up a Heathkit Apache.
Oh gosh.
So there's probably like a total of like 6-7 categories to choose from.
Yeah.
Like this one here was the one I just showed you was for transistor radios.
Okay. All right. So that's cool. That sounds like a fun little contest. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Before I get off on a what's that?
Anything else going on in the chat?
Yeah, I was just gonna say before I get off on a tangent, Clark Cohey wanted to know if you know anybody in Las Vegas that can work on an old Kenwood.
I've never even been to Las Vegas. I can't answer that.
I went there once. My wife dragged me over there. Well, that's another story. I could go off on a tangent, but
I guess to be fair to Clark and to give him some advice, I would try to look for either. Now I know there's a big antique radio club out in California. I know that's probably a 400 or 500 mile drive, but you could find something maybe on the net. If not, I'm sure there's got to be some ham radio stuff going on in Nevada or Las Vegas or Reno or somewhere in Nevada that you could probably hook up with. And there's usually, at least one, maybe 2 or more people that are into the real old stuff that could probably help you out. So if you can't find anybody that's antique radio related in your area, try the ham radio guys and ladies as well. You might get lucky and find somebody that could give you some help.
Yeah. So Clark, what kind of Kenwood is it? Because I know there's, and I can't think of the website, but there's a guy on the internet somewhere that restores Kenwood 430s and 440s, that vintage radio, like this one that I have back. Well, maybe you can't see it, but the 440 over there. And I think you can just buy restored ones from him, or you can send him yours and he'll restore it, or you can send him yours and buy another one and get a discount, kind of a thing. So if that's what you're looking at, and I don't remember the name of it, I'd have to kind of go and Google it up or whatever. But some of the local guys I was talking to in my ham club were talking about that at one point. He may not. This was a couple of years ago, so maybe he's not there anymore. But for the last time that I heard, he was out there, and that's all he specialized in was the sort of those 80s vintage Kenwood radios. So let's see. The Radio Geek is in there. How you doing, Radio Geek? That's another one of my favorite radio channels to watch. I'm sure.
I subscribe to him too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. He does some good stuff. He does some teardowns and some radio reviews and great channel if you're into radios. Go check out the Radio.
I actually learned a little bit from him going through it's really funny because radios have now shrunk to these tiny little things, and you have SDRs and things like that. He's been showing all of these little chip radios. It's literally a radio built on one single chip, and that's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, I like the teardowns because he goes through and kind of tries to figure out the circuit a little bit, and yeah, like you said, you can learn a few things, and then you see how these things are made. It's kind of neat. Let's see, TS511S. That's the Kenwood that Clark is looking at. I'm not even familiar with that one. I can't picture it. TS511. Is that...
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not either, but I'll look it up. Maybe I'll look up the other thing too. 511. Oh, okay. So that's one of those tube hybrid ones, right? A friend of mine actually here in Connecticut, he's an electronics guy through and through, but he's just recently got into ham radio, and he picked up a couple of those Kenwood hybrids or whatever you call them, and he completely went through them. This guy is awesome. I don't know that he does stuff for hire. He does it for himself. He'll fix up the radio. Sometimes he sells them. Sometimes he doesn't. But yeah, that's right. I think he was trying to sell those. I don't know if he did or not, but if he still has them, I want to buy everything. But I wanted to buy them from him. But I'm first of all a cheapskate, and second of all, I know my limitations, so I didn't make him an offer. But yeah, he's really good. I'll ask him if he knows anybody else that does it commercially, because maybe he bumped into somebody when he was doing his research. Let's see. Randy Cummings is in there. He says he has an 8G005. I'm gonna have to get my glasses. TZY something. I sure love to restore.
YTZ.
What's that?
YTZ.
Yeah, YTZ. Sure love to restore it. It's clean, but it needs to be gone through. I'm not familiar with that.
Nice radio. The only problem with that radio, well, that radio is one of the early TOs that used lockable tubes. And not that that's a problem, but the thing is that I did an HE for somebody a long time ago, and I forget it was a YTZ or YTZ1 or whatever. I think yours is the one with the small rectifier tube. It's they either came with a 117Z6, which was the octal version, or the thin miniature version, which was a 117Z3. But they both have rubber wiring underneath. And if you got to go fishing to replace a component out or something like that, it's very labor intensive. Last year I did a companion AM portable of the same vintage. I guess it was still one of the early ones that were in the suitcase style case. I have one of them. I actually bought it done. It's kind of funny. I never worked on it. But I did one for somebody last year. I picked one up at Sussex Camfest. I got it for a great price, but man, I must have put about at least 15 hours into that thing. And I'd either have to, if I wanted to get rid of all the wax capacitors, so we do what is called a shotgun, and we replace them all. But then you still have to get around the wires sometimes, and then when you move the wire and the rubber's all hard and everything, then it breaks out. So then it leaves me with two choices: either I got to replace the wire, or I got to put a piece of shrink tubing over it. I bought a bunch of shrink tubing in different colors just for that reason. I have some yellow, green, red, blue.
Yeah.
And when I do stuff like that, it'll still look like it. Okay, I know what this wire is, and so on and so forth. But it's just a very labor-intensive radio. That's why what I did, the two transoceanic restorations on my channel, I chose an H500, which is probably the most, CN's made the most of that model of any of them that were out there.
Yep.
And they also made them for 3 years. It wasn't a one-year-only radio. And then I did a 600 series radio, because those are a very common radio as well. But they're both miniature radios, and they don't have a gazillion wires underneath the chassis. It's a very simple radio actually to work on once you know what you're looking for. So don't be afraid to do the restoration, but just be very careful. But be aware that you're going to have that problem with the rubber wiring breaking off the insulation.
That's a good tip. Yeah, I know that the wire can get brittle. I had an old motorcycle I was working on, and I had to replace the whole wiring harness in it because of that. Let's see. Pals Rob, Make Electronics Rebuttal Channel. Do either of you gentlemen subscribe to Mr. Carlson's Lab? Yeah, well, yes, but I don't always watch all of his videos because they're kind of long, and I don't have a lot of time. But he's great. I love his stuff.
I wouldn't lie either. Here's yellow. There's blue.
There
green,
you go.
Red.
Well, if I need anybody, I know who to call. If I was still one of my old jobs, I used to go down to New Jersey a couple times a year. If I knew you then, I would have swung by, pick up supplies.
Well, the next time you swing around here,
I got to get down there again. Well, I got to get to Sussex, or I got to get to Kutztown.
And you know what else, Rob? If you come down here, sometimes I try to do this once a month. I got a card here. We have a museum. as well.
Oh, okay.
And it's down by the Jersey Shore, and I try to do it once a month.
Well,
and it's our radio technology museum, and we have lots of things in there for everybody. We even got some right now. We got some hands-on stuff for kids that we just opened up. Of course, we have to keep wiping them off, but right now we just reopened the museum in August, but we're practicing social distancing and wearing masks and limiting how many people come in and everything. So I actually go there and work as a docent or a tour guide, and I'll find somebody that's looking at stuff, and I'll try to I'll ask a couple questions and then get a feel for what they know. If they never, if they did this stuff before or they didn't or whatever, if they're into history, I'll talk history, and I just take it from there and I walk everybody around. So.
Well, I got to get you up here. We've got a wonderful radio museum not too far from where I live.
I'm aware of it, and I've even donated money to it a long time ago. But I've never gone up there.
Oh, well, you got to get up here.
Guys in our club have gone to that museum, though, and they said it's really cool.
It is. It's awesome. I went there a few years ago with my father-in-law. My father-in-law's a ham, too, but he had never been there, and I took him there. I go every couple of years. I should probably spend more time there. I should probably volunteer there, really. It's actually not far from where I work. But they have everything in there, and people are constantly donating stuff, so things are always changing. And Bob Allison from the league is involved in that too, so he does a lot of work with them, and it's a great museum. So you got to get up here.
I would probably be at ours every weekend. The only thing is it's an hour drive for me.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, but either way, if you ever come up to there. Or I got to get my butt down to Kutztown or Sussex when the world gets back to normal, and we'll definitely hang out for a bit and talk radio and live.
I think I could say with a level of confidence to everybody out there who either watches your channel or my channel or whatever you have to tune in right now. 2021 will definitely be better than 2020. It can't get any worse than this.
Anyway, let's see.
It's got to be better.
Let's see. Doug Style is asking, what radio restoration channels do you guys like to watch? Well, I like to watch Radiowild. I like the Radio Geek. He's not necessarily restoring anything, but I like his channel. Mr. Carlson's Lab is good. We were talking about that a minute ago. Trying to think who else does good radio work. There was a guy.
There's a bunch of them. I mean, I can sit here and start rattling them all off, but I like Mr. Carlson's Lab, but sometimes he just gets too long.
Yeah, they're too long. But
it gets crazy. It's like an hour long. So one thing I've always strived to do, and I'm not shy about sharing this, but I've tried to keep my videos under 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair enough time to kind of get my point across. And if I'm working on something and it's going to require a second part, I'll say, all right, look, we're going to split this in half, or okay, we run out of time, we're going to do one more afterward. And an example of that was Kutztown.
Yeah,
I actually had enough footage that I recorded on my camera that I said, you know what, because people are locked up and just want to get out and do something, I put another 7-8 minutes of stuff together so that people could look at that and enjoy it, because they seem to enjoy my videos.
Yeah.
So with that, anyway.
Yeah,
so there's a number of guys that go out here and do this. Like, one thing that I'm only a novice cabinet finisher. I'm okay, but there's guys out here that do phenomenal work for these radios. And it's just we're kind of in a, I don't know what the right word is, because it's such a niche hobby.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people doing this. So if you're watching, my channel or other people's channels that do this kind of stuff, that's great, because I don't know if we're going to be around 10, 20, 30 years from now.
And that's like what you were saying. You want to show some of this stuff or help teach kind of the younger guys so that the art of it isn't lost. And I appreciate that.
I just did a video which was kind of goofy and silly, but they have these shows out there that, what was that one? The orange is the new black. Well, it's the 50AH5, the new 50C5. It's just basically the same tube, but the 50AH5 has a lot more gain, and you could use it, but there's things you have to be careful about. And, it's little things, niche things like that, and and just keep watching them. I just, not just me, watch everybody else too. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of good stuff. You just gotta find it. I can't think of any. There's one other one I could think of off the top of my head. Can't remember the name of his channel because he stopped doing radio stuff. But when he was doing radio stuff, he was excellent. But he's moved over to 3D printing and stuff like that now. But he was doing some radio stuff for a while. He was very good.
We got a couple guys in the club that are into that, and they're making knobs and parts and things like. One of the guys in our club, he's a really bright guy. His name is Neville, and he actually has a lathe, and he had a gear that wore out on his lathe. So he was experimenting making a gear to use on his lathe. And it didn't have to be. He's trying to make it from aluminum or whatever, and he's trying different castings and cutting it and everything. And he actually pulled it off. It worked out pretty good.
Oh, good. Yeah. Let me see who else is in the chat. Let me get caught up there. It's starting to come through. So Clark said, yeah, the Kenwood we were talking about, those were those tube hybrid. He says it was his dad's. Oh, I see why you want to get that restored then. Well, like I said, I'll ask my friend that did his and see if he knows anybody, and then I'll find a way to get a hold of you and let you know. Let's see. Randy says, yeah, the wire is awful. The wire you were talking about, Bob. Let's see. Clark says, Rob, the problem is I can't send it out for repair. The thing must weigh 50 pounds. That's true. The speaker is also the power supply. Oh, yeah, like the old Drakes. This is why it weighs so much. Let's see. Randy said, that is one of the questions I wondered. Thanks for the shrink tube advice. There you go. Yeah, he knows his stuff. Nick is in there. He says, hello. Oh, how about Shango 66? Yeah, he's a good one, too.
He's great.
He does TV stuff, too, doesn't he? I never got into TVs, but yeah, he's got some good stuff.
He's entertaining. He really is. And he you listen to the guy talk, oh, yeah, well, it was this. And, he goes, yeah, this problem with his crap and, the grid here and this, that, and the other thing. And he goes on. But he also does, like, really weird stuff. Like, he does these end-of-life videos where he'll take a TV and stuff a bunch of fireworks in there and he'll put some politician up there gabbing away. And then after about 30 seconds, the fireworks go off and, the CRT explodes and sparks are flying everywhere. And, I mean, that's entertainment.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see. Nelson is saying, don't forget channels like Buzz 1151 and restore old radios.
Yeah, I was kind of, that's why I didn't want to start barking out names right away.
Yeah.
Buzz is one of my favorites now. I don't think you've ever seen him, have you, at all?
No, to be honest, I don't think I have, but I will now.
You got to watch it because he is, first of all, he's a very, very good cabinet refinisher.
Okay.
He's excellent at repairing the radios and making them work.
I'm going to write that down.
What he also does is he has a puppet. And I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to just, give you a spoiler alert right now. But
I got to go watch it now.
At the beginning of his video, he has this puppet. And he has a puppet doing some really not so keen things. It's the kind of thing you want. You don't want to have your son around when you get into the first couple minutes of his video.
All right. I won't.
It's entertaining. And he's very, very good.
So
and actually, he had some medical issues, and I'm glad he's gotten through them now. He's doing much better. So, Buzz, if you're watching, man.
So, yeah, I got to get on that one. Okay. So, good. I got something else to watch tomorrow. So, other people are saying Buzz 1151's good. Another great channel from Australia is David Tipton. I'm not familiar with that one either. I'll write that.
I've seen that once or twice. I don't watch a lot of him only because they work on like Australian stuff.
Yeah, it's harder to follow.
Completely unfamiliar with and really have no desire to or care about the particular radio. It's no reflection on him or what he does. It's just that the radios and the stuff that he works on doesn't thrill me. So
yeah, it's hard to relate.
Channel.
Yeah,
it's a decent channel.
Oh, I bet. I find a lot of the British guys. And I love watching them, but like you said, I don't know the radios, so it's a little harder to follow. Let's see. Other people are saying they like Shango. Hey, my sister is in there. How you doing? KB1WQK. I guess she got some signal up there. She's up in New Hampshire right now.
I know that Mrs. RW is watching us from the other side.
Oh, is she? Well, hello, Mrs. RW.
Yes.
Yeah, my sister lives next door, but she's up in New Hampshire camping right now. So they got some signal up there, I guess. Let's see. Nick says he lives on Long Island, where I would get a vintage handheld CB fixed by mail or anything. Okay. I would have thought you would have had more shops down there in Long Island, but maybe not. Nick, EOLS. Nick says EOLS. Is that a channel? I'm not sure. Doug Martin says, check out Radio Cruncher in the UK. You know, I just found his channel like a week ago, and I've been watching a little bit of his stuff. He's pretty good, too. I like him. But again, he's UK, so it's hard to follow the radios for us in the US because some of them don't overlap. But he's got a great channel.
Yeah.
Let's see. Clark is saying, okay, let me take your email down, Clark. I'll ask my buddy and see if he knows anything on those. I'm gonna have to break out the glasses here. Sorry, guys. Actually, I can look at that later. I'll write that down later. Let's see.
No, you're not alone in that department.
No, I know, but this is new. This is like the last 6 months.
They say that golf course, it's within one club length. You gotta be able to outreach.
Yeah. No.
Just in case.
It's within the last 6 months. I had to break down and do it. I've crossed the threshold.
I didn't need reading glasses till probably about 3 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good.
So I've been very, very fortunate. It's just my left eye is just a whisker off.
For me, it's just the computer stuff, but I'm on the computer. Probably I get an eye strain. I'm on 10.
You got to work with your computer for a living, though, right?
Yeah, 10, 11 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a means to an end, though.
Yes.
You know. Let's see. Nick says radio, TV, phono nut. I haven't heard of that one.
I have.
Have you? Is he good?
It's a gentleman that I think he's in Mississippi. Primarily does a lot of old phonographs, but he does radios and he does TVs. And he's a bright guy. And one thing that aggravates this guy to no end is when he'll buy something off eBay or he'll buy something from somebody, and it comes in and he opens up the box. It's in 5 pieces. And I can relate to that because people don't know how to pack this stuff up. They just, take some, 1/4-inch bubble wrap it around the thing once, throw it in the box, and then it comes to you and it's in a couple pieces. I've got a radio in the other room I bought off of Goodwill, I think it was, website I got for a great price. It comes in, the dial glass was shattered.
Yeah.
So I sent an email back to him. I said, look, we're going to do this one of 2 ways. Either I send you your radio back and you give me my money, or I'll find another radio and you just give me half of my money back.
Oh, there you go.
So they agreed and they gave me half of the money back. I bought a tube tester off of eBay for the same thing. It came in and it was all here. I got it here somewhere. I just straightened it out last week, finally.
Nice Senecor.
I love these little Senecor tube testers, but the hinges and everything were all pressed in. This whole thing, it's still got a little bit of a body work gap to it, but I was able to bend it back. I paid like $150 for this thing. I said, look, you want it back, or you just send me $75 and I'll do the buy work. And they went to my PayPal and gave me my $75 and I just bend it back.
I don't
want this stuff. They're not good.
Yeah, they don't want it back. They don't want it back. I haven't bought a lot on eBay, not recently anyway, but I have my mail carrier is terrible. I'll find boxes in the snow. My son, one day, he came home from school. I don't know what he was doing. He looked out in the yard. He says, Dad, there's a box in the middle of the yard in the snow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was like halfway up the driveway. It wasn't, a lot of times the mail person would like leave it in the snowbank next to the mailbox or drive it up at least the driveway's a little bit long. And, but yeah, it was just,
worse.
It was just in the middle in the snow. I don't even know how long it had been there.
It could have been worse. He could have messed with you and put a couple lumps of coal for eyes and a carrot for a nose and left it out there for you.
Yeah, right. So I know how the mail can
That
be.
stinks.
So yeah, when I ship something, I don't sell very much stuff either, which is why I have all this stuff here. Because I was telling him before we started, this is like the Hotel California. The stuff all checks
Yes.
in, but it never leaves.
There you go.
But when I do end up selling something, I ship it real or pack it really good because I know what happens.
Yeah. We used to have a relatively regular mailman here, but that changed 5 years ago. And now, it's purely pot luck. Sometimes I see a mailman or a mailwoman out there and never seen them before. So,
Yeah,
I guess that's just how it's going. But, it's funny. The mail service was the last bastion of U.S. government that was profitable. And they haven't been profitable for 30 years now.
yeah, I know it.
We've been just handing them billions of dollars just to put a Band-Aid on it,
Oh, I know it. We could probably go on a tangent with that. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll stay away. There's other guys that do this stuff. We
Yeah,
won't be
yeah,
here.
yeah. We'll leave that to the professionals. We'll leave that to the professionals. Let's see.
We want to have fun.
Yeah, Don Izzo is in there. W1FYG. How you doing, Don? Thanks for stopping in. I hope you
Hey,
enjoyed.
Don.
I hope you enjoyed Kyle's video tonight. I know we kind of double booked, but I'll watch Kyle's video later. Let's see. JSS 67 2006 is in there. Good evening. Gavin WB1 D Labs puts out some good videos too. Oh yeah, I've seen the D Labs.
That guy's from Michigan. And he does some good stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a ham as well.
Yep.
He goes to an event in Michigan. I wish I could remember. So if you're watching right now, please forgive me. But they have a ham fest in Michigan. He actually gets some good stuff. He goes around with the camera and shows all the gear, table to table.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Talks to a couple people. And he put some really good videos with that. I really enjoyed those videos.
I haven't seen any of his stuff recently for some reason. Let's see. Old 64
I don't think he's
Goat.
paid a lot either.
Old 64 Goat is another one. I've watched those before too. Yeah. Let's see.
How far is Bill away from you?
Who's that?
Old 64 Goat.
Oh, I don't know. Is he around here?
Connecticut.
He is?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, I got to look it up now. All right.
He's probably somewhere close to you. I don't know what town he's in, but I'm sure he's probably not that far away from you.
Oh, I'll look.
I've been watching Bill for a long time. He's entertaining, and his son actually plays guitar really, really well. He sings country songs and stuff. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen any of his in a long time, so I'm gonna. I took notes here.
His son's name is Tommy. He's a really good guitar player.
This is the first live stream I'm taking notes on here. So. See, this like you said, you always learn something.
I tried to do that too.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he runs out of things to talk about. I got this.
There you go.
I just wrote on the top of the page chat fodder and then just go on from there.
Let's see. That's Shango's. Oh, Shango's Eels. Okay, yeah. Let's see. The Shack on Facebook is Andy Cowley says the Shack on Facebook. I'm not sure. Is that a group or something? Let's see. Anime.
I don't do Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I mean, as far as the social stuff goes,
yeah.
YouTube is really all I do. I don't tweet. I don't do any of that stuff.
I mean,
occasionally I'll go on Facebook Marketplace and shop around.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I have a Twitter page that I forget about. I use Facebook, but only for my family. I only have family and close friends on there. I don't use it for any of this stuff. Let's see. Anime is in there. Good evening. Clark. Oh, okay. They're just talking amongst themselves. Let's see. Mr. Radio is a newer channel that's pretty good too. Calls it Radio Rama Restorations. You ever heard of that one?
No, but let me write that down.
There you go. Take some notes.
Radio Rama Restorations.
Mr. Radio. We'll look him up. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anime says she likes the look of old radios. Oh, yeah. Well, you'd like Radiowild's collection. He's got all.
I'll tell you what. There's some radios out there that are really, really Art Deco.
Let's see. Don Izzo says those on Facebook. There's a nice group called Vintage Radios. Maybe I'll have to look that. Let's see. I think you're east. Oh, I must be east of Old Goat. That's what Don is saying. Maybe Don knows him because Don's also in Connecticut. He's southern Connecticut. Not that it's a big state, but let's see. Nick says, sorry, guys, I've got to head out. Have a great night. No problem, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, definitely appreciate everybody stopping in. Let's see. Clark says, wow, Anime, your message keep getting deleted. Okay. Randy Cummings, your club had a good presentation. Understanding the All-American 5, the evolution of an engineering masterpiece. Did you guys do something on that? Yeah?
Yes, we did.
I took a little class one time. Me and my friend Mark. He's been on my channel a couple of times. He's a radio enthusiast too. We took a little class over at the Vintage Museum in Connecticut here a few years ago, and they went through an All-American 5 and showed us everything. It was kind of fun. It was cool. So I bet that presentation was good too.
I'm trying to find one of the things I want to do is that there's a way that you could take an All-American 5 receiver and actually make it into a transmitter. And I want to find like a cheap All-American 5 that's got point-to-point wiring and not like one of those later ones that they made in the 60s that are basically on a PC board, and they just put the tube sockets and everything on. I'd rather have something that's, point-to-point. And I want to try to build one time and make a video on that, but I couldn't find anything good I couldn't find anything good in Kutztown. I wasn't going to pay $30 for a radio that I was going to butcher up,
Yeah.
I'll find something that's like $5 or $10 and I don't care, somewhere a broken cabinet or whatever. So
there you
if anybody out there wants to pause to the cause, radiowild67@gmail.com, and I'll buy it from you. If the shipping's cheap enough, though. Or if you want to stop here in New Jersey. But Al Clace did that. That's the guy. He's like the club guru. He's also a ham. That's N3FRQ. And he did the presentation on the All-American 5. And Al's really good at breaking down theory to, real small spec.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he explained things really, really well.
That's good. I really need to brush up on my tube theory one of these days because I got a bunch of tube stuff. You can see some of it behind me. And I got stuff over in the corner over here that some of it was my dad's, some of it was mine that I picked up over the years. And I'm so scatterbrained with everything else. I know that I'm not going to touch it until I'm ready to really focus on it. Otherwise,
is it all Hammerlade stuff? Or
yeah, mostly. I've got Hammerlin, a couple of Hammerlin receivers. I got three Star Roamers, Night Star Roamers. I got the Drakes behind me. What else? I thought I had something else too, but I want to go through all that stuff at some point. But I'm not going to do it until I know it's a project I can finish. Because, you know how it is. You start something and whatever. So that stuff's there, just waiting for me to be ready to work on it.
Yep.
Let's see. Chat's starting to move now. I'm losing it. Let's see. Oh. Gavin says the old 64 Goat is near Jewett City because he goes to the flea market all the time. Okay, Jewett City's not that far. We almost go near there when I go to my in-laws' house. They live down that way. And that Jewett City flea market, I went to that years and years ago once, and there was some good radio stuff there. I remember that.
He's actually done videos where he's gone there with Tommy, and they shop around, and then they get back to his house, and he opens up the back of the van or whatever. And one time he picked up a box of tubes for I think it was like $10 or something like that. He had some really expensive audio tubes and stuff in there. And I kept trying to get a hold of him, don't give this stuff away, because I know he's on fixed income and he's limited on resources or whatever, but he wanted to do everything. Well, thank you for your help, but okay. And I just kind of backed off. But he does find some nice stuff up there.
Yeah, well, it's a good flea market. It's been so long since I went there, but there's another one that's closer to me that's similar. I don't know if it's as good. Maybe it's bigger. It's called the Mansfield Flea Market, and I try to go there at least once a year, but they have it every weekend, in the summer. In fact, there's two radios behind me in the corner. I don't know if you can see them. They're transistor radios,
yes.
Panasonics. shortwave, all band, really good radios. Got them really cheap there. And, the problem is it's Sunday morning and, we just always forget about it until, oh, God, we should go to the Mansfield Flea Market. Oh, wait a minute. It's already 10:30. It's over.
Yeah, Mrs. RW and I have done the same thing. Like just recently, there was about 20 minutes from where there was a town that was going to have they do this in New Jersey in some areas. I do it in the town that I live in. We have a town-wide yard sale.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to go to this one because there's some really old houses over there and stuff. Oh, come on over here, babe. We've got, yeah. They're just we have Berwin the Wonder Cat here.
Oh, we got Berwin
around here.
There you go.
So we forget to do that too. We just missed out on one, and I know you've got your kitty, your wife's cat that walks around here.
Yeah, I got the door closed, so the cat.
Mrs. RW just handed me him.
Oh,
because
okay.
He's probably been with my wife all the time. This is Berwin the Wonder Cat, the analog Wonder Cat here.
There you go.
And I don't know. He doesn't really help me out too much anymore because he'd rather chase crickets in the basement and moles out by the garage and things like that. But he's a good boy. Did you ever see the video where he's helping me do tube sorting?
Yeah.
He was actually doing tube sorting. I made him an apprentice, and he was doing tube sorting with me. And then once he got his union card, he just went to sleep and just walked away.
Well, yeah.
All right, I'm done. I get my money.
Yeah, I got
He's a good cat.
I got the cat too. My wife's cat every once in a while will come down and jump on stuff while I'm working on it. And if I'm shooting a video at the time, I'll throw her in there sometimes.
Yeah, I thought she was going to help you change that FET and that radio.
Yeah, I think she wanted to, and then she started chewing on some of those wires over there. But actually, sometimes it's kind of cool. I've got a chair over here. You can't see it, an old chair with a blanket on it, and the cat will come down and just curl up and sleep on that chair, and that's fine. But yeah, when she gets curious, I gotta watch it because she almost got into the soldering iron one time when it was on, and that kind of thing. So
I've literally had Berwin jump up in my lap. I'll have literally a live chassis with, got 400 volts of B plus exposed, and cat just jumped up on my lap. I'm like,
no, yeah,
Berwin, no.
That wouldn't meet OSHA standards at all.
It gives me this look like, what'd I do?
So let's see. Yeah, I'm. The chat's going by here while we're talking. Where'd it go? So we saw Jewett City. So I'll look him up and I'll see. He's not far at all. Jewett City's not far.
I have some other thing I wanted to show you when I was talking earlier about that. The Channel Master Super Fringe. I literally have one here that I bought a few years back. That's literally new old stock. So it's basically a 60-year-old transistor radio. That's never been opened up, and it's still in the original wrap. That's it right there.
Oh, a channel. Yeah, okay.
It's never been out of the original wrap.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
And I'll prove it to you because you look at the bottom of here. It might not come up too well.
Oh, and you can see
the original masking tape and how discolored it is.
Yep.
So this has never been touched. Well, it hasn't been touched by human hands since 1961.
Nice.
So,
nice. Yeah, those are nice. Those are keepers.
I don't know why I bought it. I actually spent a lot of money on this thing, but I don't know why I bought it.
So it's just, you had to have
other
it.
than I can just, that's really strange. Why didn't anybody open it up? Well, I don't know, but I have it.
Yeah, it was calling your name.
Yes.
Let's see. What's going on? Let's see. Nick says bye-bye. Anime says, I want the military style with exterior tubes and stuff. Oh, the steampunk aesthetic. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I have a good friend of mine. He's an excellent electronics guy. That's his profession. He's electronics engineer, technician, whatever you want to call it. And he's into hi-fi stuff, and he built a hi-fi setup. And you go into his living room. He lives, by himself. His living room is a theater, like an old style theater. The walls are red. On the one wall is a screen painted with luminescent paint, and he's got a projector instead of a TV, high def projector. And he's got this old tube set underneath the screen, or it's not old, it's new, but it's a kit that he built and all the exposed tubes and everything. And he's got these speakers that were custom made to match with the tube setup. And boy, you go in his house to watch a movie, you better be ready, or listen to, some classic rock or something or whatever he's got.
There's a couple guys that show up at Kutztown, and they're not shy about spending money on that stuff, and that stuff goes for big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things I do in Kutztown is I try to bring out tubes that I can find here and there in little bits, and I clean them, test them, box them, and try to sell them for reasonable prices so that everybody can enjoy the stuff. And whenever I'm unloading, out from the car to my table, I get the vultures, and the vultures come right out. And the first thing they look for is my audio tubes. They find any more audio tubes. And it just...
those guys are serious.
Those guys are serious. And some of those tubes go for big bucks. I have two pieces of audio gear, and I didn't pay a lot for either one. I have a Fisher 400 receiver. It's FM only. It's like 22 watts a channel for tube audio, and that's actually pretty good for tube audio. And I got a friend of mine gave me some 16 ohm vintage Jensen speakers.
Oh, okay.
And I have that hooked up to my television set or something like that. So if I play, like, say, a DVD or something like that, I'll play the audio through there, and then we just watch it on our flat screen.
Nice, yeah.
And real quick story. I was I was in high school, and there was a guy that was in my electronics program.
Yeah.
And his parents had money. I don't know how to say it. But he invites me over his house one day, and he opens up a closet. It was just, I thought, you want me to hang my coat or something like that? No, he opens up the closet door. Here's a Marantz 2325, and here's like a real high-end tape deck and a real high-end turntable. And then he's got speakers in the living room. There's speakers. This is his parents' house. I'm like, oh, my God. And I thought to myself, there had to be like $3,000 worth of gear in there. I can't even, I don't even have $300 in the bank, and this guy's going to listen. So I said to myself, one of these days I'm going to buy a Marantz.
Yeah.
So I did, and it's really silly. I bought one from Mrs. RW. She's got a 2226B from 1978. That's her stereo that I bought for her.
Okay.
And that's in her little room that's really nice and neat. And upstairs in the master bedroom, I have a 2285B.
Okay.
And I got a pair of KLH. They're Chinese KLH.
Yeah.
They're not the real good ones, but I didn't have any speakers to hook up. And somebody's trying to text me. My phone's going off. Anyway, I paid $185 for that 2285B, and I just saw one the other time just go up on eBay for $1,100.
Oh, wow.
And it's just it boggles my mind,
Yeah, people take that stuff seriously. I like you. I don't have any tube stuff. I've got a couple of old Pioneer amplifiers. And I got one of them at the Mansfield Flea Market we were talking about a while ago for $8. And I recapped it, and I got an old pair of studio speakers that my father-in-law gave me. He had them since the 80s or whatever. And I got it set up down here in the cellar. Sometimes I fire it up, and it's cool. But I just don't have the ear, for it. It's just not my thing. But I can appreciate it when I go to my buddy's house that has that, home built tube system. You can hear it. You don't need a trained ear to know that that's quality stuff. But let's see, we got a bunch of chats going. Let's see. Clark says he would like the radio prepper. Don says he has an RCA K80 from 1939. He loves it.
I used to have a K105. The K80 is a 10-tube console, and it's got the 6U5 green tuning iron.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a really cool radio. But I had a K105 that I picked up for like 20 or $25 through the club. But the cabinet was all falling apart and everything, and it took me about a year to get that one done.
Yeah.
I just sold that about 2 years ago. I had a couple extra consoles, and I figured, well, let me sell. I had 4 consoles. I sold them all except for I have a Zenith shutter dial from 38. It's a 9-tube shutter dial, and that's like my cold dead hands console. It's not going anywhere. But I figured I'd move them before I had to move, because then I have to move them as well.
Yeah, I understand.
So, but it's a nice radio.
There you go. Let's see. I'm getting lost in the chat. I apologize if I'm missing any of these. Let's see. Don says, downtown Putnam has a huge department store turned into an indoor flea market. It does. I didn't know about that. Of course, I don't ever go to Putnam either. Putnam's almost in Rhode Island. And from where I am, there's no good roads east. There's just one. And even that, it's hard to go east from here, if that makes any sense.
I can't remember. I think I know the road you're talking about. Isn't that the same road that goes like Foxborough Stadium?
Route 44, US 44, probably goes. Well, if I were going to go to Foxborough from here, I'd actually go north into Massachusetts and then take the Mass Pike and then go down, what is it, 195? I don't know what it is. I don't remember. I'd go that way.
Gotcha.
But I could go straight east, but it would take twice as long. There's Route 44, Route 6 would go into Providence. And I don't know if anybody in here has ever driven in Providence. Yeah, it's I avoid Providence. My wife went to college in Providence, and every once in a while we got to go through there, and she's like, "Oh, I miss it." And I'm like, "This place is."
Do they still have that big cockroach on top of that one building along 95?
I don't know. When I'm driving, all I'm looking at is the road, because the roads twist and turn, and you got to get off one road and get on the other, and I don't know. But she could tell you, because she looks out the window. But yeah, I've never spent any time in Providence. I just go through as quick as I can.
I haven't been up your way in over 20 years. So
oh, wow.
It's been a long time. I used to hate driving 84, especially when I got toward Hartford.
Yeah.
There used to be this thing that would go around. It was a little bit longer, but it was actually faster to take that. That was 691.
Yep, 691. Everybody knows that. Well, I haven't been west of Hartford in a while myself, but they reconstructed Waterbury, so it's not so bad anymore on 84. And right now they're rebuilding the interchange of 84 and 91 in Hartford, which is what I used to drive every day, and that was a madhouse. Glad I don't do that anymore. My commute now is all back roads in cornfields. It's awesome.
I think you said you're by the airport, right?
I work near the airport. Yeah.
Yeah.
But from here it's due west, and it's all town roads. So
so that makes driving life a lot easier.
Oh, it's wonderful, especially this time of year. You see all the foliage, and there's no traffic. I can take my time, but I don't have to go to work anymore. I work from home, so. But someday we'll go back to the office, maybe. I don't know. If they realize that everybody can work from home, they may, save on the real estate costs. We'll see. So downtown Putnam, I'll have to look into that. That might be a good little day trip for me and the wife at some point. Because we'll take a ride over that way sometimes, just to take a ride, Boy, I'm losing it now. I'm sorry if I'm missing anything here. I think Clark says he's signing out. Don says his friend did a complete renovation on that radio. He had local ham, good friend. He only has about 100 around his house. Yeah. Zenith, Motorola, Philco, everything. Yeah.
There's a couple guys in the New Jersey club, and I think there's probably a couple in the Pennsylvania club as well that are like that. They probably have at least 100 or more radios.
Oh yeah,
in their collections. And I know there's one guy. He's an older gentleman in the Jersey club, and I haven't been to his house, but I've seen pictures of the insides of his house, and I wouldn't be at least 200 radios in his house.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not talking about transistors. He's got like
the big
table
stuff.
sets, consoles, radio, phonographs. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's how like the Vintage Museum is here in Connecticut. Actually, Don Izzo, have you ever been to the Vintage Radio Museum in Windsor? That's
no.
If you haven't, that's a good place to go.
I've only heard about it from other people, and there were a couple pictures I thought I saw on the web a couple years ago, but other than that, no.
Yeah, no, I'm asking Don in the chat.
Oh,
he's a Connecticut guy, so I didn't know if he'd ever been there. But that might be a good place to get together someday, Don, if you ever wanted to head over there. Let's see. JSS 67 2006 sold an old Heath kit. Should have kept it. It was an early 60s model. Imagine what came of the K80 speakers. Yeah, that old Heath kit stuff, that's like gold.
If you got that stuff unbuilt, it's worth even more.
Yeah, I know it. Let's see. Don says the internal tuner is a favorite vertical design that spins for best reception. The aux screws for external antenna. Oh, okay. That's got one of those. Oh, fan dipole. Oh, maybe I missed something here. I don't know. Let's see. And has an RCA jack for input running the Bluetooth into it. Oh, yeah. That's another trick. You've done that too, haven't you, Radiowild, where you run your...
Yeah. I've never done the Bluetooth thing, but it can be done. I usually try to find a way to, there are times where people want to play their, iPods or music off their phone into the radio. And I can usually find a way to tap that in there and make that happen. The only problem is that a lot of these things, when they were, there were radios, like I have a couple radios in my collection in the other room that have a phono jack on the back of it from the factory. Now, what they do is they usually go into the first audio section of a tube and hit the grid and then throw. What it was meant to do was to take a phonograph, like RCA, for example, made millions and millions of those standalone 45 RPM players. Rob, you've probably seen them, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about. Well, they used 3-volt ceramic cartridges that had a really big output to go into there and play it. So if you take, like I have my iPods on the shelf, but if you take that and put that into a radio, you really have to bring the volume up pretty good to make the amp sound good. And that's the only thing. So there's a couple ways you can get around that. You could take a transformer from, like, say, a transistor radio and just kind of work it backwards, like a speaker transformer from a transistor radio.
Yep.
Reverse it and then just bring it to the tube that way to kind of get a little more gain and things like that. Matter of fact, Al from the club did a big thing, I think last year, about putting Bluetooth in radios and stuff like that and ways to do it. There's no simple thing to do. No simple way to do it right, but there's things you can do to make that work and make that happen. I mean, your other alternative would be to either to go out and buy one of those talking house transmitters. Or I have like a 100 milliwatt solid state transmitter. It was very expensive. It was a couple $100.
Yep.
But I could actually broadcast through any an AM signal on the broadcast band. And Mrs. RW could get in her car and hear me like a quarter of a mile down the street.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Eric there a couple days ago. He does that, the Part 15 broadcasting stuff. That's a lot of fun.
So you can have a lot of fun with that. The easier way to go is with
excuse me.
You can get a nice FM transmitter relatively cheap, and then if you don't want to hear the stuff that's on the radio outside, you can play whatever you want to play through your FM transmitter and put on your headphones and get on your riding mower or whatever it is you're going to do outside and hear that. A lot of cool things you can do with that stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. Let's see. Anime says the wind-up record players. Oh yeah, though. We had one. We had one of those in my dad's barn, and it's a funny story because it was the full-size Victrola. I don't know where he got it, but he had it there. Now, I have 3 older sisters, and they're quite a bit older than me. And apparently at one point, they were out there in the barn playing with it, and they broke it. so I always razz them about it. It's, he shouldn't have broke Dad's Victrola or whatever.
We actually, in the New Jersey Clubs Museum, we actually have 3 working Victrolas, and we also have the Edison, the disc, the tube thing.
The cylinder.
We got one of them that works as well.
Yeah, they've got one here in Connecticut too in that museum. The Edison.
I actually picked one of them up like 5 years ago. I got it for next to nothing, and I didn't know what to do with it. And my wife wanted to keep it, So we had it in the dining room for a while, and then she goes, "Oh, this thing's just taking up too much space. Let's just get rid of it." I only have a 1,300 square foot house, so my house isn't that big.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took it to Kutztown with me, and it sold like 2 hours after it hit the table.
Oh, there you go.
I remember it was a Sonora, which is basically a Chicago company. They also made a lot of radios, and I even think they were early in the TVs too. They made a few TVs, and then they kind of petered out. But I didn't do nothing to it. It even came with extra needles and had the little tin with the extra needles, and just crank it up and let it go. And just put a record on it. It was
there
cool.
You go. There you go. Let's see. Don says he was supposed to go to the museum, but the COVID derailed it. Yeah, I heard it was. I don't know if it was open again, but and I always forget to go to it. But a couple of my buddies in my radio club, once a quarter, they have a little flea market at the museum outside. And they were there not that long ago. Must have been in August. I don't know. Sometime. They had their flea market that they usually have, their quarterly flea market. And I've only been to it once because I always forget. But that might be a fun thing to go to and then tour the museum after if it's still open. Or if it's opened up again, I mean, whatever kind of a thing. But
our museum is open, and if anybody ever let me flash this card one more time, so folks could see it. This is a Radio Technology Museum for New Jersey Antique Radio Club. Now it's at the InfoH Science and History Center. It's not just us though. There's actually several museums on the property. There's actually a World War II military motor pool museum.
Oh wow.
If you're a fan of Jeeps, you'll love this place because they have Jeeps in there that are, if you like the real early flat fender Jeeps.
Oh yeah.
They got tons of them there. There's one guy there, I can't remember his name, but he's a great guy. Does a lot of the restoration work. Ford used to make Jeeps, which I never knew. I actually went over there about a month or so ago, last time I was at the museum, and I was actually trying to fix the TV over there. It was amazing. But I went and I saw, I didn't know that Ford made Jeeps, and they also made a special Jeep, and they had a name for it. I can't remember. But it was full-time four-wheel drive, but it was also four-wheel steering.
Oh, wow.
And apparently these things started to get out in the field, and the Army guys just hated them because they would roll these things in a heartbeat. They'd flip them.
Oh, I bet.
And they said to the government or whatever, tell Ford not to make anymore. We don't want him. Just make regular four-wheel drive with two-wheel steering.
There you go.
But they have one there. They only made 6 of them. So they have that. There's a vintage computer museum. So if you're into early computer stuff, there's a computer museum over there. There's other musems over there. Just go to the InfoH webpage and you can see for yourself.
There you go. That sounds like a good...
infoh.org.
Yeah, that's a good day trip or two, maybe. Wow.
And who knows, if you go in the radio museum, you might even see me.
There you go. Well, I'd let you know if I was heading down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to get down there, like I said, either Kutztown or Sussex here.
They're open on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Oh, okay. There you go. Let's see. Let's get caught up. We'll get caught up in the chat here and then wrap it up. But we've been going almost 2 hours now.
For about an hour and a half.
Yeah, almost 2, I think. So it's getting late for me. I got to get up at 5. So
I actually right now. There's another Zoom meeting with the New Jersey Club right now.
Oh,
so once I get out of here, I'm just going to run over there and see if there's anybody left that hasn't fallen asleep on their computer screen.
There you go. That sounds good.
There's usually 1 or 2 guys that are just you get to the Zoom page and then you see the all the squares with the Brady Bunch people up there.
Yeah.
There's usually like somebody there that's they're like this. It's great.
So yeah, let's see what else we got. Old meets new technology. JSS says, yeah. Anime says, can we design a kit, please? Design a radio kit? That might be above my pay grade.
There are actually Chinese-made transistor radio kits out there.
Yeah, I think I've seen. Didn't Radio Geek get a hold of one of those? Somebody did.
Radio Geek actually made one of those. And actually, I think there's 6 and 7 transistor versions. They're very inexpensive. The only problem is, now I don't know if they've corrected this issue or not, but like for example, our tech guru Al N3FRQ had bought some of these and we were going to try to get some kids together, like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, to go and get some soldering irons together and start making these things. The problem is that the instructions are in Chinese. So then you have to have somebody there going into Google and translating, things.
There you go.
Google Translate and try to get it all worked out. So they're out there. It's just you have to, unless you could find, but they're pricey. You will pay for it. There are unbuilt kits out there. And if you hunt around, you'll find one, hopefully unbuilt. But I'm going to tell you right now, they're collectible, and you'll pay dearly for them if you find
I miss the old Ramsey kits. You used to be able to get those.
Oh, I got one of them.
Yep, those were fun to build. You could get them at flea markets cheap. That kind of a thing. Those were great for learning how to solder and learning some theory and stuff. But he went out of business a few years ago.
I had a couple of Ramsey kits. This is a homebrew thing here. This is a 160 meter receiver.
Oh, wow.
And it's battery operated. It's got a little connector there for the antenna. And there's a speaker.
Nice. You built that all yourself? Just from scratch?
No.
Oh.
A friend of mine built it. He was cleaning out his stuff. He figured maybe I'd want it. And I actually hooked it up and it works. It came apart.
Not anymore.
I can show you. I forgot I took the screws out of this thing. So anyway, here's the circuit board for it right here.
Oh, cool.
There's not a lot going on there, but it is a Ramsey kit.
Yeah.
And there's the speaker and the battery.
Oh, it was a Ramsey. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The box is a Ramsey. He just built it into this box.
I see.
And I also have like the little bits and pieces that if I didn't want 160, if I wanted to make it 80 or 40
you could switch it over.
20, I could change it around. So
cool.
These are kind of cool.
Yeah, they are. They are. There's a lot of kits. There's stuff out there, but like you're saying, it's hard to get instructions for them. So you almost kind of have to know what you're doing, kind of a thing. But there's stuff out there, I guess. But yeah, you need to design a tube radio kit there, RW. That'll be your next project.
When I was in high school, we had these kits that we got to put together, and they were made by a company called Graymark, and it was just an AA5.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
And it just, it was all point-to-point wiring. You put it together, and I didn't even have to tweak the IF coils or nothing. I just wired it up, turned it on, and it played and worked perfectly.
There you go.
So it's kind of cool.
So let's see. Randy says, I built an FM transmitter with just a few milliwatts on a homebrewed J-pole. I was transmitting over 2 miles. Yeah, you can. I've got a transmitter here, FM transmitter kit I built a long time ago. And that'll transmit, I don't know, maybe 2 miles, but I can put it on one of my outside antennas and it'll cover a few thousand feet anyway, half a mile maybe. Those are a lot of fun. Let's see. Don says, great show. Well, yeah, thanks for stopping in, Don. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, RW. We'll definitely do this again at some point.
We got to do this again sometime. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I say this every time I do a live stream, but I'm not a live streamer, although I've been live streamed 3 times in the last week. But I'm trying to get this all in because I won't be able to do any live streaming for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I've got some things going on personally, and the channel's going to be on autopilot for a couple of weeks. So
there's more to life than just YouTube.
Yeah, there is. But we wanted to pack all this in before I go on autopilot just to get it in. So, but we'll definitely do it again. So look for us again sometime.
Absolutely. It was great.
Either an evening like this or Tom from Tom's Radio Room show. If you guys haven't watched his stuff, you've probably seen me do live shows with him. We like to do stuff on Saturday mornings. That seems to be a popular time. So maybe in November, look for us again, maybe on a Saturday morning or an evening. I'll post it on my channel ahead of time. Sure. And, let us know if there's anything you want to talk about in particular, old radios, old cars, whatever. RW's into a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah, my problem is I got too many. I'm busier now, retired than I was when I was still working 60 hours a week.
Yeah, I know it.
It's weird.
I know
give you something to look forward to.
I know. I got a few years though. but it'll come soon enough. So.
Hey, everybody, thank you for coming over and watching tonight. I had a great time, so we'll do this again.
Yeah, and thanks again, Bob, for reaching out and joining me here, and
Sure.
and we'll definitely do it again sometime. It was a lot of fun. So, and thanks for everyone for participating in the chat and playing along at home. And I guess that's it. We'll catch everyone later. 7-3.
73 is bye.
Okay, so I ended the stream, but we're still on here for a minute.